Guess what we're talking about today? Welcome everybody to Infinity Watch, where we are going to discuss every single MCU movie that has started from this guy in 2008 all the way to Infinity War that will take place May 2018. That's 10 years of intricate storylines and plot points and character development that's going to help us understand what's going on in the MCU. I'm going to put this down. Now, once again, my name is Corey Sams, C. Sams the Great. Well, not the Great, but C. Sams. Basically, it's my job to prepare you to get ready for this fabulous adventure that is going to culminate in 2018 with Infinity War. Now, I understand some of these MCU movies has not been the greatest. Some of these movies have been phenomenal. However, it is my job to prepare you to be ready for these movies. Each and every movie that we're going to discuss is going to play a very important role and an intricate part in telling the overall story that's going to take place. Now, the first story that we're going to look at is actually going to be the very first Marvel Studio movie. So pretty much we're going to start with Iron Man, the very first MCU movie or Marvel Studios movie that incepted back in 2008. There were a couple movies that happened in the 80s and the 90s, but that was part of Marvel Entertainment, not necessarily Marvel Studios. Let's make that separation. Now, Iron Man, I was first introduced to Iron Man when I started watching cartoons at a very young age. I remember the tagline, I remember the theme song, I remember everything about Iron Man back in those days. One big thing that I also remember is when I started to read the comic books, and in the comic books it gave me a better understanding of Iron Man. However, not a lot of people know who Iron Man is because that's considered to be a B grade, C grade type of character. However, Iron Man is a very, very important player when it comes to the overall Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, we open this movie where Iron Man is attacked while he is with some army folks after giving a presentation of the Jericho missile. Now, he's attacked and we see the very first stages of him becoming Iron Man. One thing I really loved about this movie is the fact that you get right into the action. We do not need to start off with why Tony Stark is the way he is, how did he get to this point, and why is he so smart. We are introduced to Tony Stark getting hit with these missiles and stuff like that, and actually getting the shrapnel caught into his chest and into his heart. Now, we're gonna see him in a cave. The characters played a good part back in these days. This is 2008, so around this time, terrorism now is still a growing problem, still is a problem, but the movie chose to highlight that particular area of the world as if to say that these are the people who captured Tony. Anyway, they do a little bit of work to his chest, and he ends up making his own arc reactor out of the scraps that is around. On top of that, he makes his Mark I suit. That is a very important role in this movie because if you look back to the very first Iron Man comic books, it is a replica of that, and that was perfectly done. If you were to look at it in a more realistic standpoint. Now, we're gonna just jump ahead. I don't want to give you the entire movie. The movie's been out for almost 10 years now. Basically, Tony escapes and he ends up starting to make or manufacture his own Iron Man suit based on his Mark I design. He then comes up with a Mark II design, which he learns how to fly. He then decides to use this suit as a weapon to stop the terrorist who has his weapons, basically the 10 rings. And the 10 rings, ironically, was a hint to the Mandarin. In the comic book, the Mandarin has 10 magical rings, and this terrorist group has 10 rings. Well, it's called 10 rings, while the leader is occupying one of those rings. Now, they didn't make any connection to that in this movie, and as we look at Iron Man 2 and 3, we're going to see a bit of a connection, but a little bit loosely based. Anyway, we're going to move on a little bit. Now, Tony Stark finally gets his Iron Man suit up and running. He's getting rid of these terrorists. He's destroying his missiles, but Obadiah Stane is actually the one who caused everything, who wanted Tony Stark out of the way so that he can make this money and that he can continue to make billions. But however, Tony Stark is in the way because he is the owner of the company. Now, Obadiah Stane is actually working with the terrorists. He actually gets the plans and gets the blueprint pretty much to make his own Iron Man suit, which he calls the Ironmonger. We do see them fight at the end of this movie. Throughout this movie, we don't see a lot of connections to the Marvel universe just yet because of the fact that this is the first movie. However, we do see Agent Coulson while he explains his department, which is a long name. I can't even remember it, but it spells out to be S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a brilliant Easter egg. This movie is full of Easter eggs, a lot of Easter eggs, and if you look very closely, you'll be able to find each and every one of them. I'm not going to go through all of them because that's not my job. I have another guy who has a job. He's going to be giving you that very soon. Anyway, at the end of the movie, Obadiah Stane is defeated. Tony Stark then comes out and says, you know what, I am Iron Man. And that's what he does. He explains to everybody, he comes forward, he says, you know what, forget this Superman, Batman, Spider-Man type of alter ego type thing. I'm just gonna come out and straight up tell you I am Iron Man, which is the first time we have ever seen that take place on the big screen, where a superhero comes out and tells you, this is who I am, this is my identity, and behold, because of what happened at that present moment, that changed the dynamics of the entire MCU universe to where we don't have superheroes with secret identities. The superheroes that we're going to meet along this watch, you will see that they are going to tell you exactly who they are. They're not going to keep that a secret from the population, from anybody, which I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, we see the end of the movie, and then we get to the final part of the movie, which for me caused me to sit through 5-6 minutes of credits to sit and watch a little piece of end credit. Now, maybe end credits happened way before Marvel, but for me, that was my first exposure to an end credit. And Marvel has done a great job making that their flagship statement at the end of the movie. Whenever you go to a Marvel movie, you are expected to stay to the very end. Anybody who walks out of a Marvel movie and doesn't stick around to the very end, obviously doesn't know what's about to happen. But anyway, we see the very first stages of the MCU universe when Samuel L. Jackson turns around as Nick Fury and tells Tony, I'm here to talk about the Avengers Initiative. In 2008, we were told that we were going to get an Avengers movie. Now, this didn't happen the next year. This didn't happen the following year. This build-up was about 4 years. So we can see each and every character that's going to be in this movie, and that we can get a better understanding of the dynamics of this team. Marvel did it wonderful, in my opinion. Now, like I said, this is Infinity Watch. My job is to prepare you for Infinity War, which happens in 2018. However, we are going to go through each and every movie that leads up to it. Starting with Iron Man. Well, we just talked about Iron Man. We're going to talk about The Incredible Hulk. We're going to talk about Iron Man 2. We're going to talk about Thor. We're going to talk about Captain America, the first Avenger. And then we're going to get to the Avengers. And that's our phase 1. We're not even going to get into phase 2, phase 3 yet, because I want you guys to be prepared for what we're going to discuss. Now, leave a comment in the bottom of this page, like, subscribe, do what you want, dislike, disagree, whatever you want to do. But like I said, this is what we do. We're just a couple of brothers and sisters that just came together and just want to start our own little thing. And we want to get people psyched and get people ready for the upcoming events that are going on in the Marvel universe, in the DC universe, and, you know, varying if anything. But once again, we just appreciate your support and continue to support us, okay? And, Sam's out.
Bye.